So I learned very quickly that I had to have my blinders on and not take any advice from people that weren't living a life I want to live. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Founded with Soul. I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Alana Kane. I am the founder of a health and wellness marketing company, and I really wanted to give you the origin story of why I started this podcast and what my life looked like to get me to a point where I am now. A little bit of a backstory is I am a huge champion of dropping out of corporate and really living authentically and living for yourself. You're going to see why in a little bit when I get into my story. But I am here to help inspire you, to let you know you're not alone. If everyone's telling you you're crazy, you're in the right spot, because I also had to overcome that. This is a safe space to build community with other people that are just living boldly, making those big changes and doing the damn thing. So let's start with my origin story. I grew up in a small town in Western Pennsylvania. I always dreamed of traveling, but I always dreamed of being like a chief marketing officer, living in the city and being this badass business person. And I quickly found out once I entered corporate that dream was not for me. So I want to go back to where kind of adulthood started for me, which was when I retired from swimming. So I was a competitive swimmer my whole life. I got a swimming scholarship to go to Youngstown State University, and I didn't really want to swim in college, but I got a scholarship and my parents were like, trust us, just swim, like it's gonna pay off. And I'm so glad I did, because I literally have the best friends in the world from it, and we're still friends to this day. And you really learn a lot about yourself when you're doing a sport in college. I always wanted to be normal. And when normal came around, when I retired from swimming at 21, that's when things started to get real, right? What no one tells you about being an athlete your whole life until you stop is like, that's your identity. And you have to create a whole new relationship to everything in your life, to what you're eating, to your sleeping, to your exercise schedule. You're not going to be working out 20 hours a week anymore. And so you also need to remember too, you're not going to see your teammates every day. Like, this is your family, right? And so basically once you retire from your sport, you get to be normal, which is something I wanted for so long, but I realized I had no idea how to be normal without swimming. So really, from the age of 21 to 24, I was trying to figure it out. Really couldn't find the right formula. I got, my first corporate job, hated it, went to another company, ended up doing marketing for a food and hospitality company. I moved and I was just trying to figure out life, right? As a 21 to 24-year-old, which I'm so glad I didn't have TikTok back then. I was living my best life, or what I thought was my best life. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had a group of friends, but I would say they were more like going out friends, not like deep, meaningful connections. And it wasn't until I got a promotion at work that I started noticing I had some anxiety. So when I got this promotion, this was during like the worst year of my life, which is my 25th year, which there's a lot of lessons to be learned in the year of 25. So this was my quarter life crisis. Basically, I turned 25. I was sick. We went on a trip to visit my friend's sister in Austin. I got in a car accident the day I got back, driving to my new location that I got promoted to. And everything just started unraveling. I didn't really like my boss. I was traveling more than I thought I was going to be, which was like driving 5.5 hours every week to this new location that I had to help open, which I've never opened a place before. So I was just really trying to do everything on my own too, which is never good when you're doing something for the first time. And I just hit a point where I was so anxious, I couldn't sit still for like longer than 10 minutes. Like, being in a meeting was horrible. I was like fidgeting, sweating. All I could think about was, are people looking at me? Are people noticing? And that was my mental track all the time. And so it got to the point where I didn't even want to go out and see my friends. So I got depressed and I was medicating with alcohol, as we do when we're young. And I realized like something's got to give, because it was a couple months of this. I did start to go to therapy, but I was not telling anyone but my best friend that I was going through such a hard time. Like nobody knew. I was so ashamed that I got to this point. And it wasn't until I started trying yoga. I had never really done yoga before, but I was like, reading everything I could, and this is what helps anxiety, right? So I would go to vinyasa classes, didn't really see a difference or anything happening. And it wasn't until I went to a yin class that I felt the light bulb go off of, I think I need this. I had such a hard time in the class though, because I couldn't sit still. And this class was just sitting still in really difficult, challenging poses. If you've never done yin, you're sitting in poses anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, and you're not supposed to move. You're just supposed to surrender. And as you can imagine, that was extremely difficult for me. I left that class and I didn't go back for like 3 weeks. But I knew after that class, it was something that I really needed. It was like the one time I could start to get my brain to slow down. So I went back and I kept going, and I loved the teacher, and it was the first thing that I noticed really starting to help me. During this time, since my job was providing so much stress and anxiety, I thought getting a new job would be what saved me. So I ended up applying to this job that seemed very similar to what I was doing, but at like a major place that everyone would know, fast food chain restaurant that is very popular. So I interview on Zoom. I make it to the second round where it's an in-person interview, and my anxiety was so bad at this time. I believe I may have already been on an SSRI, but I was still, it takes a while for that to kick in. And I was still freaking out. I'm like, there's no way I can go to this interview without feeling anxious. So I literally made a doctor's appointment to go get some Xanax. And I also had a wedding, I think like the next weekend or something that I was in. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm going to be up on the stage, everybody looking at me. So I made this appointment to go hopefully get some pills. And the doctor was really not having it. He just did not want to just give me drugs to solve this problem, but I think I did convince him. I think I got 3 pills, and I took one before my interview, and I got it. So I got a huge pay increase. I got to quit this job that was providing me all this stress and anxiety, but I still had anxiety. And I start this job, and I'm still battling with myself and my thoughts. And then I also didn't think I was good enough, didn't think I was cool enough. And I just really had a hard time transitioning with this job. And unfortunately, I got fired 2 months later because I wasn't a fit for the team. But there was a lot of things that I didn't do right. Totally fine. It ended up being like the best thing that could have happened to me. So it is all good. But during my unemployment, obviously the first couple of days, super depressing, right? I'm lost. Like, how could this happen? I blew such a big opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But I reached a certain point where I said, okay, this is my golden opportunity to really get a hold of my anxiety and really take a turn for the better in my life. So I started reading some books. One in particular was My Quarter Life Crisis, which I was going through, and I started reflecting on what I would really love to do if money really wasn't an option. And working with entrepreneurs was one. I actually started volunteering at the local SCORE chapter to help entrepreneurs with their startup. And another was to travel more. And I had this dream of teaching yoga now that I realized how much it was helping me. And during my fun employment, I called it fun employment, I signed up for a yoga teacher training. So I had only been going for maybe like a month, and it changed my life so much that I was like, I think becoming a teacher would be really good for me. So I think this was October. I started yoga teacher training in December, and I ended up getting an office job. So something in the office. Before my jobs were, I was in the field. So I didn't really have an office. I didn't have a set schedule. I was bopping around. So I figured like, if we go back to the basics, back to the stuff I know, go back into the office, have structure, maybe this will help with my anxiety. Go to a smaller company. And so I did find one. It was a flooring retailer. I interviewed, I got hired on the spot, and my boss became a really awesome mentor to me. And I learned so much at this job because it was a position where I was like 1 to 3 members of a marketing team. So I was learning how to do all of the things, which has been my whole career. It allowed me to really just like settle into my body. So I get a new job. I start my yoga teacher training. I push through yoga teacher training. There were definitely some days where I was super anxious and, it's something new. And so your anxiety usually peaks when you're trying something new, but it became such a supportive space that I really became functional again for doing yin and doing my yoga teacher training and then changing my job. I really started to like level out for the first time in like a year, which was amazing. So yoga was a huge catalyst for me, which there's always a joke of like everyone becomes a yoga teacher because they hit rock bottom. Like that's what saves them. But it's so true. And so by doing yoga, I really like tuned into myself and I was able to reflect. And during this whole process, I realized like I haven't been living for myself. I've been living for what my parents wanted, society wanted, get the 9 to 5, get a nice car, live on your own, all the things. Meanwhile, I was like living paycheck to paycheck and not really like having a good community, hobbies, nothing of the sort. I was literally just working. So when I realized I need to start living for myself and doing things that I like, that's when everything changed, which a lot of people don't realize this when they're 25. Sometimes they don't realize it until they're 45 or 50 or 60. So I feel really grateful that I had that opportunity to reflect and really start to dive into my self-development. So I've been kind of on this self-development journey for the last 11 years. And that's really when things started to change for me. Because I was doing my yoga teacher training, I was very big into, reading and self-development. And we ended up booking a trip, me and my best friend, to a wild woman retreat in Costa Rica. She was working for a hotel or like helping them with some blogging at the time. So we were doing this wild woman retreat for 5 days and then going to this hotel for 5 days. And this wild woman retreat was absolutely amazing. I met amazing women. We learned a lot. Like I came out with so many great insights. And then we took our 5-day little vacation down to this resort. And at this resort, we were like, oh my God, they have so much opportunity from a marketing perspective. Like, why aren't they doing this and that? And my friend's also in marketing. So that's actually how Mudra Marketing came to be. We pitched them our ideas and they wanted to work with us. And we started an LLC. And I was just fresh out of yoga teacher training. So we were like, oh, Mudra Marketing is really cool. And we, put what a mudra is with how mudra and marketing all come together. So it's really cool. If you want to see that, it's on my Instagram. But that is how we came to be. And we were like wild dreaming of like, could we really do marketing for hospitality and retreat companies and travel and work? And, it was such an amazing dream that started because we pitched them this idea. We come back to reality. We both have full-time jobs. We're hustling on our nights and our weekends to do what we proposed to them. And we work with them for about 2 years. So in the meantime of having this business, we really don't have the time to grow it. We just kind of work our corporate jobs, whatever. And then Laura gets another job and she says, I don't have time to do this anymore. We lose our hospitality client. So we just keep Mudra in the background. I'm doing small projects here and there for people. So she's just kind of on the back burner as I figure life out. And so I'm teaching yoga consistently every week and I'm really diving into it. I love yin. I love traditional Chinese medicine and how like the acupressure points all work out. So I decided to book myself a trip to do a traditional Chinese medicine and shiatsu course in Costa Rica. And so this is my first solo trip, but I'm going to a school. So it wasn't just me adventuring by myself. I was going to meet a community of like-minded people at this massage school in Costa Rica, which I highly recommend going to do your massage certification somewhere like that. I go to this massage school and there's a lot of people there that are also living away from the US in Costa Rica. And this was never really a concept that I met anyone doing. I saw it online, never one-on-one. So because a lot of the people in this program had been there for a couple months already, I was introduced to their friends, and a lot of them were Americans that were living abroad and working and living in paradise. And I was talking to this guy, and I was like, wow, I'm in marketing. I could totally work from here. Could I imagine waking up every day to the ocean and living in this like small little village? And it was on that trip that I decided, like, okay, we are gonna live abroad. I gotta make it happen. Like, this is what I want. I realized, like, I didn't want to get married or have kids. And where I was in life, this was when I was 27. I was going to weddings and I was going to baby showers, and my friends were all moving out of the city into the suburbs. And I was at a point where I'm like, this is kind of the perfect time to leave because everyone's leaving me and I don't want to be here. I don't want a Cleveland winter again. I was living in Cleveland at the time. So I decided I was going to do that. I come back and I spend a whole year planning on what this is going to look like, where I'm going to go, all my options. And this is in 2017. So we're not at COVID yet. Remote working is not cool. No one's doing it, but like some crazy people. And I find whoever I can find on Instagram doing it to inspire me, which was amazing because there was at least some people I could look at and be like, all right, maybe I'm not so crazy. These people are doing it too. And I'm doing plan A, plan B, plan C. I sign up for Workaway because I'm like, well, even if I don't have a job, I could be staying and eating somewhere for free in exchange for work. And I finally get a pretty decent plan together. I'm still like not confident enough to go through with it yet. I end up falling in love like a couple months before I was going to go. But he had signed up for the Navy, so we were both knowing we were going to be leaving. And like neither of us planned to fall in love with each other, but it just happened. And if he wasn't leaving for the Navy, I don't know if I would have made it happen. Like, I was sure I wanted to do it, but then I don't know if that would have held me back to like stay. So it's almost a good thing that he was leaving and he wanted me to do my own thing. So we ended up breaking up. But I booked my ticket when he was at boot camp because I was alone and I was single. Not single, but I just did it. I said, you know what? I can't wait around any longer. And literally everyone told me I was crazy. Everyone in my life I told, they're like projecting their fear onto me, right? Because aren't you nervous? Aren't you scared? Isn't it dangerous? It's all these people that have never left Pennsylvania or traveled internationally that are telling me all these things. So I learned very quickly that I had to have my blinders on and not take any advice from people that weren't living a life I want to live. And I tell this to people constantly, to not take advice from people that don't own their own business if you want to own your own business. Don't take advice from people that have never traveled internationally if you want to take a trip internationally. What are they going to know? So you really have to, if you're going to make a big, bold move and a huge pivot in your life, know it in your heart, know it in your soul that like this is the right decision. And if it doesn't work out, here's plan B, plan C, plan D. You can always come back. You can always get a corporate job. You can always do whatever plan B is. But I did have the support of my friends and family. So even though they thought I was a crazy person, they still supported me, which is huge. Having support is a big thing, which is why I want to create this podcast and community, because it's so important to have other people to lean on, have accountability, and have people that get it and people that you resonate with. So that was like the biggest lesson of making a change that big. Like, I sold all of my things and just bought a one-way ticket. I started in Guatemala, and my journey abroad was amazing. The first year or two I spent really hopping around Central America and Mexico. I didn't want to be far from home because I was still coming home to help my dad, who owned a small business, and I'd come home for the holidays and stuff, and Central America is such an easy flight. So that was really like me dipping my toe in. And I started at a workaway with an American couple. So it was like safe, right? I didn't just like dive off the deep end. I went somewhere where I knew they spoke English and could help me. And I wasn't stressed for money because I was exchanging I think I was helping them with marketing, and I stayed in this amazing cabin. But another amazing thing is my plan A was to quit my job. And it took me probably 2 months to tell my boss because we had such a good relationship, and she almost like became a mother figure to me, but she's one of my mentors. And it took me so long to tell her because I felt so bad leaving. But she was like, if this is what you want to do, she's like, you can stay on and work when you're abroad and traveling. And I'm still working for them to this day. It's like 11 years. But that was a saving grace that she was like, do as many hours as you want. Here's our projects. I was working for her like 10 hours a week, very low, because so much was going on. I did not have the capacity to like be working full time, but I just was backpacking. I was staying in hostels. I was meeting all of these people that understood the assignment. They're also traveling. You made connections so quick and so easy when you have a shared experience. And I was like, oh my God, these people get me. I'm not crazy. Like, people understand it. And it was just this like huge eye-opening experience of like, okay, these are my people. And people from all over, all walks of life. It was super interesting getting to know what they do for work and like passive income. And you just make these connections that maybe you know someone for 2 or 3 days and you're still friends to this day, like 8 years later, right? And that is one of my favorite things about traveling. But anyway, I do the whole traveling thing for around 5 years. And so like the next chapter comes, I decide I'm going to go live in LA for a month because someone was subletting their apartment. It was right near the water. I could surf. And I really had this dream of when I was a kid to live in California. And I thought, like, if I'm around the people that live there, living this lifestyle would love, then like I'll also manifest this for myself, and like I'll manifest the wealth and whatever. So I go to California and I have this amazing spot. It's a little studio, like close to Venice Pier. Someone let me borrow a surfboard. It was amazing. Like everything lined up. And then smack dab, like 2 or 3 weeks into me being there, I get hit with an anxiety attack that I haven't had since when I was 25. Hits me out of nowhere. Looking back now, it was the universe knocking on my door that I didn't want to open. Wasn't listening. Crippling. I, again, was so uncomfortable. I couldn't do anything. I was trying to go on some dates. I canceled dates. Like, I didn't want to leave my house. It was really bad again. And I had a trip going to another retreat because I like to travel and like have something like a purpose for my trip. So I found this retreat in Peru. That was a yoga retreat. And I was going to that after LA. And I said, okay, maybe Peru will like fix me. Maybe I'll do some like ayahuasca plant medicine and get fixed, right? So I fly to Peru. I push through the anxiety. I'm still like, I got set back a lot, and get to Peru, meet these amazing ladies. For the first like 3 days, I was sharing a room with these girls that were also going to the retreat, but I didn't know them. And they had no idea I was going through all this anxiety. And we get to the retreat and I still have anxiety, but it's getting better because we're doing like, all the self-care things, right? Oh, so it gets to the last day of the retreat. We're taking photos at a waterfall. It's my turn. I am in Warrior 3, balancing on one leg, and they're telling me, move your whatever this way, turn that way, look up, telling you all the directions, and I lose my balance. And there was water right near me, and so I thought, I'll just fall into the water, no big deal. But as I was falling, I looked down, rocks. It's the shallowest water ever, and I'm like, shit. So I kind of like, I think I sprung off my foot to try to miss like the super shallow part. I really had no idea what was about to happen in that 1 second of me flying through the air. Unfortunately, I hear a crack and I feel the crack and I hit my ankle off a rock. Thankfully, it did not hit my skull or my rib or collarbone or something more serious. Like, I could have had a very traumatic experience, or I should say more traumatic than I had, because it was only my ankle. So I'm stuck at this waterfall that we hiked like 30 to 40 minutes into the jungle to find until they can figure out what they're going to do with me because I can't walk, right? And then everyone still had to take photos and stuff. Somehow they find 3 Peruvian men on this trail to come help me out. And the one girl goes to the hospital with me. We like bribe people to drive us the whole way back. We were like, I think an hour away from the hospital near our retreat center. And x-rays come back broken. You're going to need surgery. It didn't break in a spot that like you can just throw a cast on it. So like, wonderful. Okay, universe, you made your point, right? So I actually interview an orthopedic surgeon there, and it's gonna be like $1,200. And I'm like, because I didn't want to go back home yet either, because I was only gone for like a month and a half, and I was planning to like hop around Peru, surf, do all the things, and I was just trying to do the logistics though, of like not being weight bearing, the dangers of me doing it in another country. We're in the Amazon too. I don't know what's going to happen. So I decide I'm going to fly home. Surprise. Hi, Mom. Coming back. I will be on your couch because I do not have anything. I sold all my stuff, right? And I get home. Obviously, I'm super depressed. My travels have ended. I can't walk for the next 2 months. I have to get surgery. My summer is shot. But this was like a really big turning point into the next chapter of my life, and kind of how Mudra came back in action. It was like what happened when I was 25. You have some months to figure your shit out, and what are you going to do about it? So I started diving into investing and money type stuff, and I come across house hacking, which would give me the ability to own an asset and also rent it when I wanted to go travel. And so I was like, this is the most perfect thing ever. Why did I never think about this? Why was this never on my radar? I had such a complex relationship with money, and I probably still do after traveling and seeing so many people with nothing being so happy, and me living on so little and making an American salary that I didn't have to work full time and living well, that I was like, why would I ever want to go back to America? This time I didn't really have a choice. So I'm like, how do I make more money without doing too much more? Or how do I move my business in a way that feels really good? So I ended up buying a house and going all in on renovating it. But I also started doing more small projects for friends and other people because I needed more work. And so my friend Michelle, who I saw in LA, who I met back at that first retreat, that Wild Woman retreat we did in 2015. And she had quit her finance job in her 30s to go and do acupuncture school. Spent 4 or 5 years doing her acupuncture school and certification. And she was opening her own practice. And she wanted some help with marketing stuff. And I was like, oh my God, let me help you. I love your story. Like, so inspirational. And so I started working with her. And I really enjoyed the process of helping her because I know what she does is so life-changing. She helps women with fertility, PCOS, like very big women's health and digestion and that, all that kind of stuff. And her story is something that I love because you can make a pivot anytime you want in your life. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. And I started seeing her wheels turning and realizing like the advice that I had and the skills I have could really help her get seen more to help more people. And that's kind of my shift of like, okay, I think I want to work with more passionate people that are like me, that understand that like holistic health and wellness is important and it can change lives. And that's something that I really love. And these are people that I'm friends with. And these are the people that, you know, go against the norms of everyday and corporate. And so I've really started to say, okay, I think I need to create some things for these people because I'm vibing with this and I can help them help so many more people. So that's really how Mudra kind of got its second wind. It's very similar to how it started. Like when we started it, we wanted to help people in the health, wellness, and hospitality industry. And how it just kind of like merged into what it is today. And I really want to create community around that and help other people in their health and wellness businesses to thrive and get out of corporate, live on their own terms, go travel for 6 months if they want to. Like I want that for everyone because it has made such a big impact on my life. traveling has just opened my eyes and my world to what's out there, and meeting people from all over and all cultures and all beliefs. It's such an incredible gift. And I really hope that this podcast has some stories that you can relate to and that you can draw inspiration from, and that can empower you to either like go all in with your business or take some tips from some of our experts and business owners. We're just really here to support each other. And that's really why I made this podcast. Number one, I love hearing people's stories. I love people that go against the grain. And I also know how important it is to have a platform that gets you, that supports you, that understands you. So that's really like the goal here. And I think through sharing my story, you can understand where all of the pieces of the puzzle have come together to lead me to this point. And I'm really excited for what I have planned. Like I said, community is at the base of all of this. And I think learning from other entrepreneurs, I'll be able to create more products that help you really make an impactful place for those of you in the health and wellness world. From dreaming about doing it, maybe you have a side hustle, maybe you're already in it, but a place where we can all really be inspired and empowered and hold each other accountable. And I'm going to answer a question I'm going to ask every guest, which is, how do you redefine success? This was one of my first TikTok videos that went really viral, is when I realized that what I thought in college and in my younger years of owning the nice car and having a big house and getting married, having kids, like literally the white picket fence American dream, wasn't for me. And that doesn't scream success to me anymore. And it wasn't until having a regulated nervous system, being able to travel as long as I want because I have a remote job. Doesn't matter how much I was making. If I could do it, amazing. Success for me really has changed. It's all about living a life that's fulfilling and happy. And I think we're going to see that from a lot of our guests. And I'm really excited to ask that question and see what pops up for people. And I'd like to challenge you to ask yourself, how do I define success now? Do you still need to be keeping up with the Joneses? Or would you rather have a peaceful morning? You can make success and you can make your life however that looks and feels good to you. Mine is obviously going to be wildly different from what a lot of people like, especially in my hometown where they think I'm a crazy person for traveling. A lot of people could not see themselves traveling. But that's success to me, being able to see the world and being able to change my surroundings when I see fit and experiencing different cultures, eating different food. Oh my God, food is like the best part of travel. That's a big question, a big theme throughout the podcast. I'm really excited for all those answers to come up. And if you're listening to this on a podcast network, be sure to leave a review if you enjoyed the episode or you got something out of it. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'm so excited to share all of the upcoming guests with you. Sure to like and subscribe for notifications on when our next episode will drop, and I look forward to seeing you then.